So, thanks for inviting me down. I set up Mid Sussex Wood Recycling Project in 2007. And following on from Catstock, it's about being able to actually reuse the waste timber that comes out from all the big construction companies. So those that operate in East and West Sussex that we look after, and certainly for places like the builds going up at Horsham, so Highwood has got, it's a 10-year build, it's got over 3,000 houses going in, brand new flyway infrastructure, you've got Countryside on the other side that basically put a village together. Now, before we came along and before the national community wood recycling was set up,
Should have a right and left button there.
yeah.
In the middle of the little red dot.
So the environment is, the thing that everybody's talking about and has been for a number of years. It just seems that a lot of companies are slow to get it, and certainly a lot of governments are slow to get it. So that's the iconic, beautiful picture of the place that we live. That's kind of what we do to it. Now, the bottom left one, obviously landfill. West Sussex have run out of landfill, or pretty close to?
Close to. West
Yeah.
Sussex still got Brookhurst Wood at Horsham.
Okay. Which is kind of like the South Downs on itself, just happens to be full of rubbish.
Yeah.
Go down to Small Dole, that's all been capped and planted up, so it looks lovely, but it's just rubbish underneath. It's fairly unstable, which is why they cap it, so nothing can be built around it or on it, because it's going to be moving over years as all of that rubbish just settles down. And so before National Community Wood Recycling kind of came into place, and that's now got 28 projects around the UK, that is where all the waste certainly from the construction industry used to go. So you'd have small building companies, they would have yards, so all of their surplus would go back, and that would then be used for the next build, because houses were pretty much of a standard kind of build, certainly from 48 up till about 58. As companies started to get bigger to make the most out of economies of scale, they didn't have yards because they started to become national builders. So instead of them transporting stuff around from a yard up to, say, Nottingham, where they were doing the next build, it's just easier to get somebody like Parker's or Mid Sussex Timber to deliver it to whatever site you've got. So when they were leftover material, apart from people buying it off site, site managers giving it out, people building sheds and extensions that actually works on that site, it would all end up in landfill. So when we set up, and we're just up at Hayward Heath on the road between Wildersfield and Hayward Heath itself. If you come up to see us, you'll see that Crest Nicholson have kind of got a monopoly at the moment of building up there. Building alongside the railway, all of the ground that used to belong to the mental hospital that used to be up there. The other side of Rocky Lane, it's called Rocky Lane because it was sand rocks that were sitting up there. Now they've all been actually demolished. A nice natural feature has been demolished to put the bypass road in. Now we work with Crest Nicholson, and it's that double-edged sword where every time we get a new contract to work with Crest Nicholson, Taylor Wimpey, Waits, Wilmot Dixon, all of the big guys, it's great news for us because we've got, so Berkeley Homes have got a 10-year build going on, so that's kind of going to get me up to retirement. But it's just a huge swathe of West Sussex is just going under concrete. So I kind of pleased with one hand and really upset with the other. We're a social enterprise, so any profit that we make gets reinvested into the organisation. Our turnover increasing sort of 20% per annum. If we were a blue chip company, we'd have shareholders or potential shareholders queuing up to get a piece of us, but it's mainly because there's just yet more and more construction been going on. But also the educational side of it, so that companies that traditionally would put all of their waste timber into a skip are now actually talking to us and saying, we don't want it to go, or it can't now go and get buried anymore. So we can provide services cheaper than a skip company can. There are 4 of us working. I think we turned over £210,000 last year. And that's quite a good ratio for the number of people that we've got. And we work with Pericles, which is a charity that looks after adults with learning difficulties. And this is part of what we do. So we're taking waste and so these are old cable drums, and we're turning them into rocking chairs for outside. So we get to work with adults with learning difficulties and educate them and get them to actually be able to make things. We're currently making recycled Christmas trees for Forest Row Business Forum. So I think we've got 6 or 8 that will be in amongst the village. And they'll just be all the decorations that we've put on them are all wood, and they'll just be putting light streams around them. And then at the end of that, we can just come and take them all apart and take them back. This is kind of all in the day's work. So, of those pallets, basically those pallets that are all going away to be shredded, and there's 2 routes. So one is Sweden, goes off as power station fuel, goes out to Shoreham Docks. And the other route is to go to people that have got industrial wood burners for things like heating, greenhouses, cattle barns, pig barns, that kind of thing. That can go off and get burnt by them because it's clean timber, apart from a bit of paint on it. And that goes off on one process and it attracts one price. And construction waste, which is more and more being made out of composite material. Your kitchens, kitchen cupboards, kitchen worktop, even roofing joists are now made out of strand board, which is basically pressed wood and glue. So that can't go in and get burnt in the same place that can, so it gets shredded. We don't have any, talking about this national plan for waste, we haven't got one. I think the nearest place to us is Lancing Incinerator, where they burn not only waste timber, but they will also burn your household waste. I think the next nearest one is Grundon, so they operate one at Heathrow. If Heathrow does go through, that's in the flight path, so that's going to get demolished. Whether it will then get rebuilt is a bit like Heathrow, is going to be up for discussion. But what we do is we try and reuse as much as we can. So of those pallets, anything that can actually go out to any of our customers that use them, we can sell them to our customers cheaper than they can buy from a pallet dealer. So they're guaranteed, we're guaranteed to go through and pick out everything that we can reuse rather than it go off and get shredded. So most of those have either got a slab missing, they're broken in some way, or they're a type of pallet that doesn't get reused here. So you get American pallets that come over, they're built in a particular way, nobody likes them here. So, a bit like Americans maybe.
Or just one American.
So they can't be reused because our infrastructure and the size of them means they don't fit on a truck. You have a certain size truck and that fits a certain amount of pallets. The American ones are just different sizes, they don't fit, so they just get discarded. And nobody wants to pay to send them back to America, so they just, they are just chipped and burnt. So that's the kind of stuff that we put together, along with anything else that can be made out of timber. But because we reuse, on construction, we probably reuse about 20% of what we collect. So we collect about 100 tonne a month. And at the end of a build, all the site surplus that they traditionally would go back to a yard, now they don't have them. So that now comes to us, which is good because it's all brand new material, which is say probably about 10% over order. So that comes back to our barn, so we can resell that cheaper than you can buy it from B&Q and Parker's and places like that. So we have a lot of makers that come into us who buy timber, various scaffold boards and all roofing joists, and they turn it into furniture as well. So our Facebook page, hopefully, has got lots of pictures of stuff that other people have made. That's kind of it. So yeah, so we're up at Hayward Heath. If anybody wants to come up and see what we do. And we have gardens, so we're growing our own vegetables now. And we've got 12 chickens, and that means that special needs adults that come to us 2 days a week, they now get to go home during the growing season with a box of veg and some eggs. And those that still live at home, they get to go home with that instead of maybe a felt picture or something that just gets put in a drawer. That's it.
Any questions to do? I've got one observation. We've been up there a few times and bought stuff and made stuff from it. It's fantastic. You need to have a bigger sign outside. Go past it so often.
Make a
You
bit
need to know
more
where to
wood
get there. So I'd probably recommend anyone going
So if you'd like to phone the Sussex District Council
already.
and say,
They don't want them to have a bigger sign.
any sign, you can't have any
Yeah,
sign.
there's no sign. No.
They said, well, you can't have the canvas signs that we had. You need to have advertising consent and put a big sign up. But I talk to highways and they say, it's our verge. You can have the canvas signs, you can't have anything big, certainly not anything solid because it's on a bend. And then Mid Sussex District Council came to see us because we've given them some raised bed material because they do a grow your own lunch in the council offices. And they couldn't find us.
Where are you, please? You by the bend, by the tunnel, or?
So you go under the railway,
Yeah.
and then you've got that curve.
Yeah, yeah.
In between the two chevrons is Brooklands Farm.
Right.
And we're down there. And then we can signpost from within the farm. Yeah.
Oh God, see, the world's bonkers. The world is bonkers.
Are you basically selling to ordinary people? Things like
Ordinary people.
Ordinary decent people.
Extraordinary people?
So could I come along and ride one of the rocking chairs?
Yes,
So that's what I was.
Great.
Yeah, give us the lead time on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are made to order?
Yeah.
Of course.
So they retail at £300. So that tends to be when people then say, well, I can go to B&Q and get a whole outside dining set for £299, or even less than that probably, that's come all the way from
Yeah, they chop down a forest in Brazil to
somewhere.
do that, and then
Might
they
be
to China, and
certified, might not be
whole
certified
families
as
die
correctly.
while they process the materials. Yeah, that's cool.
Which
Go
is
get your barn
moving
in a
around
B&Q.
towns somewhere else. And everybody else has got one, but not everybody else has got something like that.
So
Yeah.
you've got stuff that
We
people
can.
could pop in and buy for Christmas presents?
We've got recycled Christmas trees that we can build to order, but the one thing that I don't get involved in is Christmas. That whole,
Humbug.
how many places do you go, garden centres, oh, yeah, this is in for Christmas, made in China, and I just don't buy into it. So we will build you a 7-foot table, for example, that will last you a lifetime, but I don't get involved in just making stuff. So the Christmas trees, because Forest Row wanted them, then made
The
to
Brighton Wood Recycling Store, they do, right? Because they have some of their makers that they supply, then they bring those products back into the store to sell them there.
Whereabouts
They-
would we
They're on Lewis Road, just before the Vogue Gyratory.
Oh, is it the Shabby Tat?
Just
Right.
before Shabitat, there's a big red fence and you think, oh, I wonder what's behind that. That's what's behind it. Yeah, it's called Preston Barracks, and it's a temporary redevelopment site.
Wasn't it?